Today I want to talk about the stories we tell ourselves. Children are great by their very nature, and we have the privilege and responsibility of raising them. It can be challenging at times. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Cynthia Armstrong. I'm a general and special education teacher. I homeschooled my children for 5 years, and I talk about the things that I've studied, researched, and applied that really help me to help myself, my children, and my students. Today, I want to talk about something that's very subtle in our minds at times, and at other times not. But that is the stories we tell ourselves. And perhaps the stories we tell ourselves aren't the subtle part, but the meaning we give them and the control we give stories are. And I'm going to talk about us as parents right now, but please remember that as you apply it to yourself, it then allows you to see how that applies to your children and how that can give you power to help them. So stories are how we make meaning out of things. Stories are a part of our brain that helps us to determine what happened, right? So again, if children fall down, they might look around and see something that they say, oh, that's the reason I fall down, or that's the thing that's unsafe. And it might have absolutely nothing to do with why they really fell down, but they'll make that connection and they'll continue to look for confirmation of that. And so we've done that as children before we could think about thinking. We've told ourselves stories about why things happened, and then we take that and interpret the next thing with it. So when we tell ourselves stories, we'll often put ourselves and we'll put other people in a role. Like a character role, like this, you're going to be the hero or the protagonist or the antagonist, and we put ourselves and we put other people in these roles. And so when we say people will be in the victim role or the victim mode, then really they're telling themselves a story that puts them there. And when we tell stories where we might be in that victim mode, then we have given away our power to somebody else. And yet we gave our power to them, and yet we will blame them for the situation that we're in. And that totally disempowers us, which is why we are then in that victim mode. And so we could even tell ourselves stories where we're the hero. Oh, so and so's, struggling with their parents or with their roommates or with whatever, and we're going to go in and rescue them, so that we can be that hero. We're not helping them or creating a place where they feel empowered to notice their situation and notice what they're capable of doing in that situation. Whether it's, this is not a situation I choose to be in, I'm going to leave, or, whatever it is. When we play that hero part, we don't give other people that opportunity to learn, to grow, to become self-aware. And so, but we go in and we rescue, and we're that hero. And in parenting, there's all kinds. There's an infinite number of names for different parenting styles, and coming from all over the world. But like if you're a helicopter parent, right, that's a parent that takes on that hero role, where I've got to come in and I've got to save my child, I've got to rescue my child. Um, and in essence, we take that ability to learn and to become away from them and take that on ourselves. And here's kind of a funny thing, when we take the hero role, we make we often define our children or those roommates or whoever we're rescuing, those are the victims because they need to be rescued. So they're victims. But then when we're the villain, right? We put the people in that same victim mode. So whether we're being the hero or whether we're being the villain, we will put other people in that victim role. And so it's really interesting when you really think about it, and things like that. And we usually don't, we don't usually define ourselves as the villain. That's something for other people. But a villain role and a hero role will do that same thing. And there are times when people do put themselves in that villain role. And that's when they say, this is just the way I am, or I can't help myself, or, and they disempower themselves, and they're they're the villain, not by choice, but just because of how they are or the situation they grew up in. They'll find a reason to be the villain. But most often, I think, we create that villain part for somebody else, because usually we see the good in ourselves and the reason while we're doing it. And so in storytelling, we do create all of these roles, but those roles, those characters that we take on, they kind of they become the reason we feel the way we feel. So if we're feeling something that we don't like, that's negative, that's powerless, that's any of those things that we don't like to hang out in very often, then really we can go and we can look and see, what is the story I'm telling myself? And when we start thinking of it that way as a story, it can really help us, because then we go, oh wait, this isn't real. This situation isn't really the way I perceive it to be. There's another way that I can perceive this that will then lead to me attaining the feelings I prefer to hang out in. So even if, my house were to burn down, right, that's something that isn't some, I can't just say, oh, I perceive that my house isn't burnt down, right? But I can tell stories around it that can help empower me or help me to be the victim. So I could say, oh, the firefighters didn't get here soon enough. The fire started because so-and-so left the battery charger on too long. And I can go into this blame mode, victim mode, or I can go into stories that benefit me, like, wow, this is a real challenge for me right now. I've lost my baby photos from my children and from my childhood, my family, that necklace my grandma gave me, and I can be aware and not minimize the fact that, wow, my house burnt down. This is an adjustment for me. This is things that, my life is going to be changed because of this event. But I can then look for changes like, oh, well, I wonder who I'm going to meet because of this. I wonder how much empathy I'll have for others in this situation now. And I can, just wonder and put out a story that, even though this is hard, because in any good story, there's that challenge, there's that hard part, there's that something to overcome. Stories without that are really pretty boring. You wouldn't want to read it, you wouldn't want to watch it as a TV show or movie. And so when we can accept that, this is my hero, my not my hero, my character's time to step up to this challenge, and I get to decide how I react to this challenge. Uh, and and again, that doesn't mean that my house didn't burn down. It doesn't mean that I might not have a battle with the house insurance or uh, other things around it. It doesn't mean my life is going to be simple once I say, oh, well, I can look at this in a different light. It just means that I do get those choices. And so think about if we can empower our children to see that when they start complaining about school or about a friend, can we help them see the story they're telling themselves so that it can be changed? Oh my goodness. The lights are just kind of making my eyes water a little bit here today. But we have that power. And when we take that power back, like when we notice how those things that we're doing give us power or take it away from us, then we can help our children to see that as well in the way we talk about the things we experience, and in the way we can talk to our children about the things they're experiencing. So children are great by their very nature, and it is our privilege and our responsibility to raise them. Hi friends, Cynthia Armstrong here. Thanks for joining us today. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel so you can see when new videos come out, and like this one. It is such a responsibility and a challenge to raise great kids, and we are here to help you along that journey to make it as enjoyable and fun and fulfilling as possible. Please check out our website, www.raisinggreatkids.net, and I will leave that in the description below.